Hello, Ashwati, am I audible to you? Okay, okay, okay. Only four of you are here now. Now I'll be presenting the screen. So, do you remember what we were discussing yesterday? Anyone? Which module are we covering now? Okay, third module. Uh, okay. So, what did we discuss yesterday? Nobody remember? Language conversion. Which language? Okay, assembly language to machine language conversion process. And in this module, we are dealing with writing embedded firmware in different languages. And the first language that we have chosen is assembly language. And how can we, now when we are writing a program in assembly language, how can we convert this assembly language to machine language? Because machine understands only machine language, the language of zeros and ones, and we have to convert assembly language to machine language. So the conversion process we have explained using a diagram, the different sections, each part of the diagram was explained. Okay. So we were discussing about this conversion process and modular programming, where a program can be divided into several modules, and each module can be assembled separately. So that was shown in this figure. We have different source files. Since we are dividing one single file, instead of writing a single source file, we divide it into several source files, and then each of these source files, they are assembled separately. And this dividing a huge program into separate modules is known as modular programming. And then finally, these modules have to be linked together. And after loading and linking, we get absolute object file, which is finally converted to machine code. And then we were discussing about the advantages and disadvantages of assembly language based development. We had discussed about the functions of loader, linker, then hex file conversion, etc. And finally, we came to the last section yesterday, that is advantages of assembly language based development. Advantages are there is efficient code memory and data memory usage, that is, memory optimization is done in assembly language programs. Then there is high performance because of optimized code. Then low level hardware access is possible with instructions, which are these instructions, assembly language instructions are closely tied to hardware units. And then the fourth advantage is code reverse engineering is possible because of the presence of disassembler program, which converts machine language back to assembly language. Then The drawbacks of assembly language-based development is a high development time because you have to study the entire instruction set of a particular processor before writing a program. Only with thorough knowledge of the internal architecture of the processor, a programmer will be able to write programs using assembly language. So it will take time for a particular developer to study a new instruction set and write efficient programs. Then second is developer dependency. That is, each developer can write their own code. There can be different ways of writing a single instruction. So there can be. It depends on the developer who is writing the program. Then third is non-portable. That is, once we write a code for assembly language program for a particular processor, it will not work on any other processors because the processor architecture is different. So these were the disadvantages of assembly language based development. So next we are going to this next section. We are going to write a firmware using high level language and high level language based development. Before we were discussing about assembly language based firmware development. Next section is high level language based firmware development. Now as we know, high-level languages are the most commonly used languages today. It is the most human understandable form of the programming language. And here, in high-level language, how can we write an embedded firmware? And what are the language features that should be supported in order to develop firmware using a particular high-level language? So, these are the features included. If a high-level language supports the firmware development, then these are the features which should be there in that particular language. Not all languages are designed for firmware development. There are certain languages that support the firmware development. Only those languages can be used for firmware development. So, now what are the features? Let us see the features. The first one. Okay, can you hear me? Are you listening? Okay. So high level language based development. Now any high level language with a cross compiler, that's the condition that is needed for developing firmware. Any high level language with a supported cross compiler for the target processor can be used for embedded firmware development. So in this first point you should note that the language should have a cross compiler in order to develop an embedded firmware. And what is a cross compiler? That we will discuss again. Um, so the first point says that any high-level language with a supported cross compiler for the target processor can be used for embedded firmware development. The target processor is the processor that we are going to embed in the hardware unit. That is the target board. There will be a target board on which your circuit will be embedded, and the processor that controls the board is called the target processor. And we are going to write a program and a firmware for this target processor. And any high-level language that has a cross compiler for this target processor that we are going to write firmware will be able to program, and we can use that particular language to write a firmware. So any high-level language with a supported cross compiler for the target processor that we are going to program, that we are going to use in our embedded product, can be used for embedded firmware development. That is the first point. Then cross compilers. What is a cross compiler? A cross compiler is a compiler that runs on a particular machine, but it generates code for another processor. For example, I'm going to develop my embedded firmware in this particular machine, and I'm using embedded C programming, and the embedded C supports firmware development. So I'm going to run my program in my PC, but that is not the actual processor that I'm going to embed this firmware. There is a processor in the target board into which I will embed my firmware. After developing it, after testing and debugging it, I will transfer this firmware to the target processor. So this compiler, it will run on this particular machine, but it generates an object file for another processor, running on one processor but generating a code for an object code for another processor is the function of cross compiler. compiler, it runs on a particular machine. It compiles the code on one processor but generates the output code for another processor. So cross compilers are used for converting the applications developed in a high-level language to a target processor, specific assembly code. So that is the object file will be in a low-level language and an assembly code. This code is generated by a compiler running on one particular processor. The processor generates code for a target processor, another processor, and we can transfer this code to the target processor. So cross compiler is used for you converting the application that has been developed in a high level language, for example an embedded C. It's a high level language, and then this cross compiler, it will generate an assembly code that can run on another processor, and that another processor is called the target processor, and this processor is what we are going to use in our embedded product. So we are not actually running a program on the target processor. We are running it on my PC processor, supported by my PC, in my PC, and then I'm generating the assembly code in my PC, and finally I'm transferring the assembly code from my PC to the target processor. And this function, generating the assembly code for another processor, is the function of cross compiler. And if the embedded C supports cross compiler compilation process, so it can be used for developing embedded firmware. So the next point is that most commonly used high-level language for embedded firmware application development is C. So we call it as embedded C, and C is well defined. It is easy to use high-level language. We know we have written programs in C, and it has libraries for cross-platform uh, support, and it has tools for cross-platform support, and we have library files, built-in library files for cross-platform development. So that is why we depend on embedded C for programming, for firmware development. So now, as I said earlier, whether it is written in assembly language or in high-level language, we have to convert it into machine language. So next step is conversion of high-level language to machine language, or high-level language to machine language conversion process. Earlier we discussed the assembly language to machine language conversion process. Now the same block diagram can be modified for this section also. That is, you have to, how can we convert high-level language? What are the steps involved in the conversion of high-level language to machine language? So the conversion process can be illustrated below, just like as we have discussed the assembly language code. This is the conversion process. There also we do the same figure. For assembly language also we have done the same figure. Now what is the difference between the figure you had studied earlier, that is the assembly language, and the figure that you are viewing now? Can anyone say what is the difference? Just look at the figure once again and just find out what is the difference between the conversion of assembly language to machine language process, and this is high level language to machine language conversion process. What is the difference you see in these two figures? I'll show you the other figure also. This was the figure which we discussed yesterday. The same figure can be modified in this conversion process. So what is the difference? Can you say the difference? ഒരു ഡിഫറൻസും ഇല്ല. Hello. Okay. assembler. Instead of assembler, we have compiler. Because we are using high level language to machine language conversion, we need compilers. There, in the previous conversion process, we were converting assembly language to machine language, so we needed assembler to convert it. Now we are using high level language to machine language conversion, so we need a compiler, isn't it? So just the same figure, here also we are following modular programming, whereas instead of using a huge single source file, we are dividing the file into different modules so that error fixing, debugging, etc. becomes easier. And here, so since we are dividing it into different modules, we will be having several source files. Instead of a single source file, we will be having different source files. And here we have shown two source files, source file 1 and source file 2. And in source file 1, we have written the extension. Since it is a high level language, we have the extension as .c, or if we are writing in CPP, it is .cpp, etc. And we are considering this as module 1. Then another source file, there is high level language, and then we are converting it, we are naming it as module 2. Whether any of the both module 1 and module 2, they have to be converted into machine language. So the first step is we use a cross compiler instead of a, we were saying about a compiler, but here we are using a cross compiler. It is only the cross compiler that can convert into a code which can be run on a target processor. Actually, this code runs on one particular processor. For example, in my PC, where I'm going to develop and test my firmware. And finally, after development and testing, I'll be transferring it into another target board. And maybe in that board, there will be a different target processor. And I'm going to develop assembly language in my PC to be transferred to the target board, which has another processor. So my cross compiler should generate the code corresponding to the target processor that I am going to use. So here the cross compiler, it will generate convert the high level language to an object file, and this mostly the conversion will be in such a way that the assembly code generated will be based on the processor that we are going to use on the target board, and that should be selected here, that should be given as input here, which compiler, which processor that we are going to use. So corresponding to the processor, the cross compiler will generate the object file. Now, once the object file is created, since there are two modules, we have object file 1 and object file 2. And these two object files, they are then linked by the linker to the library files. And now, as we said earlier, the functions of all these are same. The library files we have discussed earlier can be written in this section also. Now the object file, everything, it is also here also, it is a relocatable object file. No addresses are assigned at this point, and to give absolute address, we use the linker and locator, and we have discussed the function of linker and locator in the previous section. All those functions can be written for this answer also. Okay. All the functions which we have written for linker and locator, for object file, for library file, we have written the notes earlier for assembly language to machine language conversion process. So whatever is written in that section can be repeated for this answer also if it is asked separately. Suppose if the university question paper, if the question is what is the explain the steps in the conversion of high-level language to machine language, then you will have to look at the marks and explain in detail. So library files notes is given in assembly language section, same process, same notes can be written here also. Only thing the figure is changing. Now, then linker and locator will give absolute address. And finally, this object file, when it is given a permanent address, it becomes an absolute object file. Finally, it is given to a hex file converter, which again we have discussed earlier. Object to hex file converter, it will convert the absolute object file to machine code, which is a hex file. And what is a hex file is also written earlier. So, just we are briefing what we have said so far. The program written in any of the high-level language, it is saved with the corresponding language extension, that is .c or .cpp. And then we can write this particular source file in any of the text editors or Notepad or WordPad, or the IDE tool supporting the high-level language. And usually we depend on IDEs Okay. Then most of the high-level languages, they support modular programming. That's why we are dividing the single source file into different modules. Okay. So, so did you understand what I was saying so far? Hello? 'Atul Satyapal ഇപ്പോഴാണോ join ചെയ്തത്? 30 minutes late. സോ അപ്പോൾ അടുത്ത പ്രാവശ്യം ഇടയ്ക്ക് എപ്പോഴെങ്കിലും അറ്റൻഡൻസ് എടുക്കാം. ലാസ്റ്റ് അറ്റൻഡൻസ് എടുക്കാറാവുമ്പോൾ ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യുന്നവർക്കൊക്കെ അറ്റൻഡൻസ് കൊടുക്കണ്ടല്ലോ. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഫസ്റ്റ് 10 മിനിറ്റ്സിനകത്ത് അറ്റൻഡൻസ് എടുക്കാം. And also last 10 minutes. So, so can you say the difference between assembly and high-level language, or can you say the features of assembly language to high-level language to machine language conversion process? What are the features? Anyone, any one point. No response. What is necessary for conversion of a high-level language to low-level to object file? A high-level language should have a cross compiler. Yes, only with a cross compiler you can write an embedded, you can write a firmware for a target processor. So, so we can do translation of high-level source code to its executable object code using a cross compiler, and this cross compiler is often language dependent. For C, you will have a C51 cross compiler, and so the cross compiler is dependent on the language. So without cross compiler support, a high level language cannot be used for embedded firmware development. So first point that you should note in this section is that there should be a cross compiler for converting the high level language to low level to object code. And since this cross compiler, it generates assembly code for a target processor, you need a cross compiler support, and without the cross compiler support, high level language cannot be used for embedded firmware development. An example is C51 cross compiler. C51 cross compiler, which has been developed from Keel Software for C language, supporting 8051 family of microcontrollers. So this particular cross compiler C51, it generates assembly code for 8051 family of microcontrollers. So each cross compiler, it generates code for a specific target processor only. And if the language supports that compiler, then we can use that compiler to generate code for that particular processor. You cannot generate target code for any other processor. If you are going to use C51 compiler, it will generate assembly code for 8051 microcontrollers. Then next we're going to the advantages. of high-level language-based development. So 1 minute, please. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Hello, do you have any doubt? Anybody having any doubt regarding cross compiler? Like just like cross compiler, we have to study again what is a cross assembler. What will be cross assembler? Can you say what is cross assembler? Anyone? Just modify this answer. What is cross assembler? Now the after cross compiler, then you have cross assembler, then you have decompiler, disassembler, etc. A compiler converts high-level language to machine language. Likewise, so a decompiler. What does a decompiler do? Compiler and decompiler, they are two opposite terms. Decompiler, what will this decompiler do? What is the reverse action? The switching language to its corresponding high-level language, that is decompilation. So what is disassembler? Assembler converts assembly language to machine language. So disassembler, what is the function of disassembler? What is the function of disassembler?
റിവേഴ്സ് ചെയ്യാനായിരിക്കും.
റിവേഴ്സ് ചെയ്യുന്ന എന്താ ചെയ്യുന്ന റിവേഴ്സ് ചെയ്യുന്ന വെച്ചാൽ ഏത് ലാംഗ്വേജ്?
അസംബ്ലി ലാംഗ്വേജിലേക്ക് കൺവേർട്ട് ചെയ്യാം.
മെഷീൻ ലാംഗ്വേജിൽ നിന്ന് അസംബ്ലി ലാംഗ്വേജിലേക്ക് കൺവേർട്ട് ചെയ്യുക. അപ്പം മെഷീൻ ലാംഗ്വേജ് കോഡിനെ അതിൻ്റെ കറസ്പോണ്ടിങ് അസംബ്ലി ലാംഗ്വേജ് കോഡിലേക്ക് കൺവേർട്ട് ചെയ്യാണ് ഡിസസംബ്ലർ. സോ ഇതൊക്കെ നോട്ട്സ് എഴുതാനായിട്ട് ചോദിക്കുന്ന ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിക്ക്. കമ്പൈലർ, ഡീകമ്പൈലർ, അസംബ്ലർ, ഡിസസംബ്ലർ, ക്രോസ് കമ്പൈലർ. എല്ലാം ഷോർട്ട് നോട്ട്സിനുള്ള ഡെഫിനിഷൻസിനുള്ള ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ്. നോട്ട്സ് ഉണ്ട്, നോട്ട്സിനകത്ത് ഉണ്ട് തരാം. ഓക്കെ. സോ the C51 compiler from Keel Software is for C languages, and it supports 8051 family of only this microcontroller code can be generated by C51 cross compiler. Now, just I'm written here a note. You have to follow the other steps, same as assembly language based development. Whatever notes is given in assembly language based development should be written here for loader, linker, and all. You have to write the same answer here also. So we are coming to the advantages and disadvantages. So first advantage is reduced development time. Since we know that easy to learn when compared to assembly language. Assembly language programs, we have to understand the basic architecture underlying the processor, whereas to write a high-level language, we need to understand the processor features. We can write a code easily using high-level language, and it is processor independent. And developers require less knowledge or little knowledge about the internal hardware details and the architecture of the target processor or the controller. And the second point is that the developers require minimal knowledge of memory organization, the register details. We are not going to use any registers in our high-level language program. In C program, we just declare variables and we use these variables. They may be stored in registers or they may be stored in memory locations, but we are not bothered about the underlying details. So it is easy to write programs in high-level language. And the register details of target processor also we are not aware of in case of high-level languages. Um, and right, the syntax of high-level language, it's easy and it reduces development time and effort. Then the third point is that each task can be accomplished with lesser number of lines of code. For example, if you want to write a particular operation in assembly language, it may take two or three machine instructions, whereas if you're going to write in high-level language, it uses lesser lines of code when compared to assembly language-based development. Then okay, there is reduced development time, and because of these reasons, we have the development time is highly reduced. Second is developer dependence, independency, because the syntax of high-level language is common, it is understandable by everyone, it is universal, and second person looking at the code is able to understand what the program means. So, even if one developer has written a program, others, any other person who are going to um, view this code, they are able to understand what the code is because it has a universal syntax. Then there is we have several rules for writing the code, and we can write comments for pieces of code, and it makes makes the code developer independent. So coding features are included both in assembly language as well as in high level language, but this feature helps both high level as well as assembly language to write to make the code understandable by others, and just make it understandable to others. Then third is portable. So target applications which are written in high-level language, they can be converted to target process or a controller understandable format using cross compilers. So the application which is written in this high-level language for a particular target processor, it can be converted into a specific application with little or no effort. If we know the high-level language, and if I want to modify this high-level language for another target processor, I can just do the high-level. I can modify the high-level language with little effort or less effort. I can change the high-level language to make it modifiable for another processor. Suppose I have written for 8051 processor. I have written embedded C programming for 8051 processor, and I'm going to change this processor to another processor. What I need to do is I take the high-level language and do minimal modification to support the target processor, and I can convert this code to another processor's code. But whereas we are going to write in assembly change when the processor changes. So it is easy to port you can port the high-level language with little effort. Some effort is needed because when the processor changes, some configuration settings will be changed, and for the only those changes need to be made. We needn't change the entire program. So these are the three advantages. That is reduced development time, developer independency, and portability. So we'll discuss the disadvantages in the next class. See your attendance, please. Number one. Okay. Next number. Number two. Number five. Unsub. Absent. Number six. Unsub present. Okay. Number six. Okay. Number seven. Number eight. Ashwin. Number nine. Number 11. Other. Okay. Number 12. Ashwin. Other. Number 12. Absent. Number 13. Okay. Number 14.
Present, miss.
Number
Present.
16. ആരാ ഇപ്പോൾ പ്രസന്റ് പറഞ്ഞു? നമ്പർ 12 ആണോ പ്രസന്റ് പറഞ്ഞത്? നമ്പർ 17 ആണോ പ്രസന്റ് പറഞ്ഞത്? Just type it in the chat box, okay? Number 17. Number 18. 17 percent പറഞ്ഞു. Okay. Number 18. Number 20. Number 22. Number 23. Number 24. Number 26. Number 27. Number 27. Okay. Number 28. Number 29. Number 30. Number 31. Number 32. Number 33. Number 3. Okay, number 12.
Miss present ആണ് പെട്ടെന്ന് range കട്ടായത്.
Okay. So all are present. Thank you.